Today, we're going to talk about backpacking items on a budget. We're going to be talking about food and cooking food. What's going on, guys? My name is Dan. I love backpacking. I love gear. If you love that stuff too, consider subscribing. And if you want to, just like the video now, because I promise it's going to be the best video you've ever seen in your life. If you're watching this video, you likely found it because you are either new to backpacking or you just are smart and don't want to spend a lot of money on backpacking items. And you're just trying to get started, trying to get out on the trail quickly. And maybe you were invited on a trip with somebody who loves to backpack, or you guys got together and thought of a great idea that was backpacking, and now you're out searching for items. So my goal in today's video is to help you guys out, because I've been backpacking for a few years now. I bought tons of gear, and I think I've got it narrowed down to some of the best, the most lightweight items to get you started. Look, I've seen too many guys buy all kinds of expensive gear. They got out on the trail, they didn't enjoy backpacking, and then they ended up selling it. So you can find a lot of really cheap gear online, and there's great places to find it. There's definitely websites out there. There are Facebook groups that you can get onto. You can go onto Craigslist, and I'll list some of those in the links below just to help you out as well. Maybe you can save some money there. You can find some of these items on there. But the first thing you need when you cook food, well, is food. But specifically, not like recipes or anything like that, because I am no chef, and I'm definitely not a chef out on the trail. And I'll just tell you straight up, in my personal opinion, in backpacking enough, and this is something that I still do today, I just go out and buy Mountain House meals. Sometimes I supplement them with other stuff like a sausage and maybe some cheese and that kind of stuff if I'm taking a little bit of a shorter trip and I just want some nicer stuff to carry. I don't mind being a little bit too heavy, but Mountain House meals are great. I've never had a Mountain House meal I wasn't willing to eat. They are all delicious, especially after you've hiked a ton of miles and you are just super tired and you need that food now and everything tastes good. This stuff is going to taste awesome. The reason I love these is because they are absolutely no thinking involved whatsoever. You boil the recommended amount of water, you open up the bag, you pour the water in, and you are done. Now, you may be thinking that these are really expensive. They are more expensive, and you can do food cheaper, but it takes a lot more thought to go into it. And if you're that kind of a person, that's fine. But if it's your first few times backpacking, you've got all this other stuff to think about. Just go out and get yourself a Mountain House meal. They're one of the best out there. You can still save money on a Mountain House meal. For lunch, I don't typically eat a whole Mountain House meal. What I do is I split it in half, and I found the best way to do that is to just take the pack, open it up before your trip, and you can dump it into a Ziploc bag, and this will stay good still for a few weeks. You dump it into a Ziploc bag, and now you've got 2 meals, but you got to make sure that the Ziploc bag that you're going to cook out of, you can cook directly in this second Ziploc bag just like you can in the Mountain House meal. You got to make sure this is a freezer bag. If it's not a freezer bag, you're going to be disappointed when you pour that boiling water in, because that bag is going to melt. So now that you've got your food, you have to have a bag to store it in. You got to have some type of a food bag, and you're going to go online, you're going to find tons of opinions on food bags, and there are some ridiculously expensive food bags out there. You can spend $50 or more on a bag to carry your food. I recommend just going to Walmart or to a Meijer and going to their camping sections and picking up some of the 3-pack dry bags. This is, I think, from Walmart, and this is the Walmart brand, the camping brand. It's called Outdoor Products, and this bag does fine. It's a dry bag, so you can use it for other things too, like storing your clothes or whatever. But I use the big one for my food bag, and it'll fit maybe 3 days of food in there roughly, and then you can roll it up. You can figure out a way to tie it, and you can hang it up in a tree. You can shove it into the bear cans. You can put these into the storage containers in some places, or if you're lucky like me here in Wisconsin, we don't have to worry about tons of bears in southern Wisconsin, so we don't even have to hang our food. You can just store this a little bit away from your campsite. Make sure it's away from the campsite. You don't want anything near you as far as food, and try to keep it off the ground as much as you can, because rodents will get in there as well. But this is a great, inexpensive food bag to get you started. So now you got the food you want to eat, but you got to have a way to cook it. And you're going to go online and Amazon, and you're going to shop for backpacking food pots. And one of the main ones that's going to come up is this Chinese food pot that you can get on Amazon. And I'll be honest, it's actually a pretty decent food pot. Mine came with the stove. It came with a little carrying compartment, like a little orange plastic thing for the stove. It came with this mesh pouch. It came with a pot here, and it also came with a mug. And then you can use this pot to cook your Mountain House meals. You just boil the water in here, and you can still use this as a coffee mug as well. You can keep it clean because you're going to be eating out of your Mountain House bag. And then you can keep this bag as well. This is a great pot. They're fairly inexpensive. This will get you started. It's decently lightweight. This one's also got the markings for measurements for you, and I think this one will hold about 1 liter of water. While that pot is a good pot, I would still recommend one of my go-to pots, which is the TOAKS titanium pot. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's a lot better quality, and it's much, much, much lighter weight. This will hold 550 milliliters of water, which is still plenty of water to be able to fill any size Mountain House meal that's out there. And it already comes with a perfectly fitting lid with some holes in it so you can actually strain water. Let's say you want to cook a little pasta in here or something like that, or ramen noodles or whatever else you might want to bring. But it's also good. But it's also a pretty good pot. Maybe you've now decided you want to buy this pot right here, and it came with your stove, it came with everything. That is a great option to get you started because it's got all that you need. But the stove that I got with that pot, it only worked about 2 or 3 times. It was kind of a piece of junk. The seal came just defective underneath, and every time I screwed it onto my gas canister, it was leaking fuel like crazy. It was just not a good situation. Other guys, however, I've heard have had great experiences with that stove and still use it years later. So it's kind of a hit and miss situation. I'm not sure what quality control is like for that stove, but if you buy that, that's great. Otherwise, if you buy the TOAKS titanium pot, I will tell you to go out and also buy the BRS stove. This stove is extremely popular. Almost every other backpacking channel is going to rant and rave about this stove. It weighs less than an ounce with its carrying case, which you don't need, by the way. You can just toss this into your pot and it'll be fine. And you can also find this pot a little bit less expensive sometimes. Like if you search BRS on Amazon and you scroll down a little bit, Amazon will give you recommendations for other stoves, and you can find this exact same stove under different manufacturing names. So I think some company came up with the design and just sold it to a bunch of different manufacturers, and it's kind of like a no-name stove in a way. But the BRS stove, this is a great stove to get you started out on the trail. Just go out and get yourself one. Super budget item. Let's talk utensils. So you're shopping for a utensil. You can go to Walmart and you can spend $4 or $5 on one of their cheap utensils. I'll just tell you, you're not going to be happy with it. It's too short. Your hand's going to get nasty, dirty when you start eating your food. One option you can do is to go to like a Dairy Queen or something like that and just get one of their plastic long spoons. Grab a couple of them for those Mountain House meals. Those are super cheap and they're free. Another option, and one of my favorites, is just to go online and spend $8 on the HUMANGEAR Duo. This thing is really nice. It is a fork and a spoon, and it nests together, first of all. Just slides together, just like this, and so it's nice and compact. And then when you're ready to eat, you can take it apart and you can slide it back in on itself, and it gets super long, and it will easily fit to the bottom of one of these Mountain House bags, so you can get all the way to the bottom and not get your handful of nasty food where you're like eating pasta off of it or something. I don't know. So the HUMANGEAR Duo, go on Amazon, buy it. It's great. Otherwise, if you don't want to spend any money, super free, go to Dairy Queen or someplace like that and get one of the longest plastic spoons you can find, super ultralight, and it'll work for your trip. So those are just a couple of items that I wanted to help you guys out with for some inexpensive backpacking budget food gear. I'm hungry. After talking about all this food, I'm going to go eat. We'll see you on the next one.